It's time to re-enter the smoke room. I'm going to let you admire Cardamon's art here while I mention Evan King, Guriz, Smuto, The Beholder, David Taylor, Popot, Neop, Brandon Bradford and Anubis Silverwind are all my top patrons. So thanks to them and everyone else who's supporting the channel. And if you just can't afford to support it or you're just not interested, don't worry, just enjoy what I'm doing here. I've been doing this for a long time without anyone supporting it, so I'm fine with that. Just let me know if you enjoy these things. And of course we are on Nick's route. And we're going to pick it up in the bunkhouse. Rowdy voices wake me up. The sounds of clanging pots, ruffling sheets and slamming metal lockers make my head throb. My shoulders ache from the night on the hard mattress, but I manage to drag myself out of the bed. There are a few surprised glances from some of the men, but no vocalised greetings. I hear many different accents and simple phrases in my broken language. Nick and Yao are already dressed and collecting tools.
You're awake. I was worried.
We have to start our shift soon.
You remember where the hiring office is?
Of course, the quarry. My memory's not that bad.
Well, you're hurt, so it could be.
He pulls me into a tight hug that could break me in half if he wanted, and claps me on the back.
Well, I wish I could be there with you.
It was either the first time I did it.
Well, just come to me if you run into trouble. We will see you at lunch.
I don't see why they're so worried. I've had a job interview before. At this company even. Then again, it has been 2 years. Maybe things have changed much more than I remember. The fancy-looking office at the top of the quarry is as neat as I remember it. The young secretary, who looks like some kind of polecat, gives me a look. Mr. Ayres for 10:30, I presume? Yes, ma'am. She picked up a telephone with one hand and slid the rotary dial. Uh-huh. That's him. Yeah, I know that he's early. Well, okay then. Her eyes narrowed and she tilted her head. You can go in now. Thank you. The needle-eyed secretary doesn't answer and goes back to pounding the keys on a typewriter. When I enter here, the office is mostly how I remember it. A large desk separates a small room in half with bookshelves on either side. On my side there is a stool to sit on. On their side, 2 comfy armchairs. To the left is a man who I'm starting to get used to seeing, James Hendricks. To the right is a sharp-eyed hound I've never seen before. He has an uncomfortable kind of gaze. The scrutinising kind that doesn't blink enough. It's well of you to show up on time, Samuel. The most important part of a job is always keeping your commitments. That's funny. I don't remember telling this man my name. That's very true, sir. Mr. Hendricks will do. That dour-looking soul over there is Mr. Briggs, my partner and the co-owner of Danica Mines. I expect the other man to laugh, but he doesn't. I don't feel familiar with either of these two, so I just nod. He tells me you worked here before. You have a file. I'll be conducting this interview. The last time I applied for a mining job, I interviewed with the secretary. I was given an assignment packet and conditions, and what I earned was fairly cut and dry. These 2 men are the owners of the biggest mine in the state. Something isn't normal here. Samuel Ayres, age 23, 1913, born in the Magnolia State, no felonies. Compliant, but consistently did not maintain his own equipment. Physically fit, but hesitant to take on a challenge. Let me ask you, Mr. Ayres, were you happy here? Another day, another dollar, Mr. Briggs. And now there's a positive attitude. The hound's lips go tight and form a sideways smirk as he tilts his head. Now, you see, Mr. Ayres, that's not what I asked. And if you don't answer what I ask, we're going to run into problems sooner or later. I asked you if you're happy, which is another way of asking, were you grateful? You see, we have people from all over the world who would love to work here. Immigrants from every coast, from the Orient, from Europa, the southern lands, hell, even from the jungle, I'm willing to bet. We're the first line of supply to building a new world, Mr. Ayres. So if that doesn't make you happy, you might just want to walk out the door like you did 2 years ago. So if Yeo's plan works, that means we're going to rob this motherfucker. That puts a smile on my face. Now, Mr. Briggs, a blunt edge can cut the fur, but it's a razor that tidies the scruff. You're close with the immigrant Nikolai, yes? Stuck at the hip, one could say. Is he now? How does he know that? I've never met this man until yesterday. Mr. Ayres, one of our current troubles is that Nikolai is one of our best workers, but I fear he's run away with some wild ideas. Unfair, unfounded ideas, I must add. It would make his life so much easier if he were to rein those thoughts in. Or to have somebody encourage him to. I think you would be uniquely suited to that role, yes? Somebody has been spying on me. Enough to know what I do and what I do for Nick. But apparently not enough to know the worst thing I've done. Somebody from the hip, then. We're all good men who just want to work for what we're given. Nick's not the boat rocking type. I can talk most nonsense out of him. Do you support labour unions of any kind? I don't know what a union is. That doesn't matter. Do you intend to support any labour movements in the future? I couldn't say. Joining any labour union is ground for immediate termination. So why haven't you fired them yet? He looks up at me. There's a probing look. But then he smiles again. I wasn't under the impression you were giving this interview. He looks down again at the contents of my folder. Will you purchase and maintain your own equipment if employed here again? I would be happy to cover those costs. Let's just call it a hunch that this is a good investment. Well, everything's in order then. The hound slaps my folder on the table. Deliver this to Miss Miranda. You start tomorrow. I follow their instructions, and in this new folder the eagle-eyed secretary in the entryway. She replaces some of the papers, hands me back the folder, and tells me to keep it and read it to prepare for tomorrow. Somehow, walking out in the blazing heat, the afternoon sun scorching the back of my neck, feels less oppressive than that office. I hear the high noon gun go off and make my way back to the bunks. Nick and Yao are there before me, sitting at the small kitchen table, dipping their spoons into bowls of watery stew. Nick meets me with a smile.
Did you run into any problems?
Nope, they hide me. I hold a large folder up and slap it with the back of my paw. The badger chuffs and snatches it from me, opening it up to look it over. Yao looked over his shoulder. Nick's face fell. Hey.
What? They put him with us?
So they did. Yao mutters something under his breath, but I can't catch it. Apologies for anyone who speaks Yao's language. I'm going to butcher this completely, I'm sure. Sequelo.
He's not ready for that kind of work.
I fold a few carts around before.
I'll expect you to detonate explosives.
Or construct scaffolding. It can't be that hard. Can it?
If you do anything wrong, that could cause a cave-in. It could kill us all.
However, misfortunate choices aside, if he learns how to work with explosives, we'll have another man who knows how to extract the ore. He only has to do this for 1 week. We can ensure that he's forced to do anything reckless.
But it's not sensible to place him there. What would inspire them to?
I think I know. Both of them look at me. Well?
Why then?
I bring my fist to my face and clear my throat. Both Mr. Briggs and Mr. Hendricks interviewed me for this job.
Both other bosses?
Interviews are lower management grunt work. Something is not right. They asked me some stupid shit like if I plan to join a union. As if I even know what a union is. Both of them look at each other. And Hendricks seemed to know about us, Nick.
What things?
Who I am and what I do. The tiger looks scared. He knows what happened to Jack.
What?
No. No? A surge of relief spreads across his face. Then what are you both talking about? Nick sends me a look like he would deck me if I didn't shut my mouth right now. But I know he wouldn't because it's Nick. The effect gets me to clam up regardless.
It would seem that my days working here are numbered.
That may not be the case. Mr. Hendricks seemed to think you're one of his best workers. I think he might think that me being around would keep you from leaving. Which would mean that he may not know about our plan. I'm starting to feel frustrated whenever this tiger interrupts me. I rub the back of my neck and sigh. Is something wrong? No. Well, actually. You know, Nick keeps telling you things about me without even asking. And until you're up to something without letting me know that it is. In spite of the fact it clearly involves my participation a good deal. It's just too similar to other situations I've been in before. You know? Perhaps I'm making too much of a fuss. The tiger tilts his head and looks from me first, then to Nikolai. You have not been debriefing him? Nick looks embarrassed.
Oh, I told you earlier I did not want to overwhelm him with details.
You'll only be further overwhelmed if he does not know what he's doing and why. A friend?
Samuel.
Samuel. I will not rely on Nick as your messenger. I will speak with you directly from now on. Considering you are one of us now.
Who's us exactly?
The men who meet at the Stag.
The who? He's talking about our work organization.
The union?
Yes, the union.
Ain't that suspicious? As you have confessed, the bosses are already suspicious of you. They have openly revealed to you that Nikolai's affiliations are known, which means that his job security and his safety are jeopardized. Unless we apply pressure.
Pressure?
The other men need to know and plan for this. Joining the union is specifically the one thing they told me not to do. You'll find that if you always follow what your bosses tell you to do, you won't last very long. But nobody will make you join a thing.
It is likely that you already know some of these men, Sam. It may not seem suspicious to be drinking with them.
Yao's tail twitches as he looks between the two of us, as if he was still trying to put something together but couldn't. I am confused by the manner of your association. But if you want to have my full trust, then show yourself at the Stag at 7 p.m. tonight. He stomps over to his bunk, snags a piece of paper and scribbles on it. Here is the address. I will return to work on my own.
I do not like this, but that is perhaps for the best.
I can only hope they have not attracted suspicion as well. The tiger doesn't waste time leaving.
Wary of him already, Sam?
Well, you're the one who knows him. I get the sense you feel conflicted about him.
I am ashamed to admit that this is how I feel. But I do not want you to feel emboldened by his rash ideas. Yao can pull off many things others cannot. And if you try to be more like him, Well, that would just do no good, would it?
Gee, thanks for your confidence, Nick.
But even so, he always sticks his neck out for me. Even when he does not have to.
Maybe it's because he knew he could rope you into something like this.
I would have done the same for him if I found gold.
I never really pinned you as a criminal.
And I can say the same thing for you. But I do not think of myself in that way. We should not have to do these things to survive. But if anybody could succeed at this, I believe it is Yao. But you already experience a great deal of guilt and suffering. You do not have to be part of this.
I know. But I know that I saw something in those mines.
You're upset.
Yao knows there's something down there too.
Like what?
I don't know. I think it's something unnatural. He grabs me by the wrist again.
Sam.
I couldn't even move away from him if I tried.
Do you really think anything could hurt me if it wanted to?
Maybe if it snuck up on you in the dark. Or if it's not a person.
You're worried for me? That is what this is.
They said your name, Nick. I know why they docked your wages. They don't like you. And they're making you do all this dangerous stuff. All the while there's God knows what slithering around down there. Some kind of monster.
You take me in and hold me and I lose you money. And now you put yourself back in a job that you hated? Can you not see how guilty this makes me?
I just want to protect you.
Why? You're the one who needs protection.
We're up against the wall. He's heaving and his temper has made him feel hot.
I've never once felt frightened below the ground. But I have felt frightened thinking any time I hold you can be the last time. Because you need to work. And I need to find somebody I do not have to pay to hold. Or find some way to pay to hold you forever. Pay you what you are really worth. Not with pennies.
His eyelid is squeezing out a tear. His grip around my wrist is so tight that it hurts. But when I grab his arm with my free hand, it slackens. I hook my arm around his waist, let him know that he doesn't have to hold back. So he doesn't. He leans into me, tilting his head to wrap his jaw around mine. And he snarls when his tongue laps at mine inside of my own mouth. I can't help but rumble too, like we're fighting. Like he's the first person I've ever met who has the capability to overpower me. Or anybody who tried to hurt me. And he wants me to know it. But he ends the kiss with a smack, still panting.
I have to go back to work now.
So you do. We stand together panting, both aching from the strain in our trousers. But we have to let it die down. It takes me several deep breaths where I can get soft, and the drop of pre is stuck to the side of my leg.
You'll be at the Stag tonight, yes?
Of course.
All right. See you then.
My arm hangs loosely when he lets go of my hand, leaving the shack. I figure it's high time for me to go too. I hate these times, where I have nothing to do in between times when I now have too much to do. I just can't think about anything straight right now. I just want to be in a bed with Nick. I didn't want him to go back to work. Not there. Not away from me. But I know I should tell Dora and Cynthia where I've been. What I've been doing. But if I go back into town, William could find me before I risk it. If I were him, I'd look for me at the hip, knowing I'd have to come back sooner or later. But the question for myself is, do I risk it? How drastic would William act if he found me? If worst comes to worst, I could find a way to calm him down. He's probably been too busy to get off in the last few days. I could use that. but sure I can come up with something to explain myself. Myself and Nick. Nothing's coming to me still. Wait. I could tell William about the gold. That's a perfect alibi for the both of us. Wait, no, that's just another crime. Fuck. I'm already walking towards the hip, so I might as well just keep going. I stick to the back alleys instead of Main Street. Some folks are beating their bed sheets with a stick. I hear some folks laughing over games from their balconies, but it's otherwise real quiet. Sunday afternoons are the most crowded days of the hip. They're the quietest for the powder room. I figure somebody or other will see me whether I take the front or back entrance, so settle for the front because I'll reach Dora quicker. I look out. Not even Harlan's steely gaze is there to meet me. He's too busy taking orders. So I pad up the staircase and slip into the powder room. I see her sitting alone, sipping her mid-afternoon tea. Mom, you busy? I realise I'm out of breath as the words leave my rising chest. The doe's eyes flick to me and her posture changes in her seat. Generally, I force myself to say preoccupied. There's always something to do if you're proactive. But what do you need? I just wanted to let you know that I picked up a side job at the mines. The mines? She lets out a one-note laugh. You were quite adamant not to return there when I first found you. What's really going on? A friend just needed my help is all. He thinks it could be something big. And what if it is big? I honestly haven't thought much about what comes after. Then I'll worry about it when I have to, I suppose. Sometimes that's the most useful thing to do. You're actually agreeing with me, Mom. Flexibility is important. You can't account for everything always. I never could dedicate all my energy to one opportunity. If this really is as big as we think it could be, I might not have to work here anymore. I guess she's picking up on that too. Most of the workers don't stay here for too terribly long. They get tired of it all, find a husband, or enter different kinds of work when it's not so lucrative. It'd be difficult for me to replace Sam, but I never thought you'd be here forever. Well, that's mostly what I wanted to talk about. I'm trying to live my life like this will be only 1 week's worth of work and that's it. When he interviewed me, one of the bosses knew that I work here, named Nikolai. It was one of my most private clients. Do you know how they'd know? Which of them? Mr. Hendricks, the ram. She makes one long extended hum. Well, the lazy answer would be William. Of course it would be William. Wait, what does she mean by lazy? He associates with you, the Badger and the Robber Baron. But William doesn't make fair deals with his information. He'll always ask for more than he's given because that's a much more dangerous weapon than the gun at his hip, and he will not make a losing deal. He's stubborn like that. And the ram is just too much an idiot to see that he can't be stingy when it comes to working with William. If the sheriff made no gains, then it would mean betraying the safety of the closest thing he has to an intimate friend. I think he's an unlikely source. So who'd have done it? Well, if you trusted it wasn't me, it would either have to be one of the miners who saw you and Nikolai together. Or, more likely, one of the ladies. One of our own. You know that we don't just deal in intimacy, Sam. Social currency is invaluable here. But as it goes, whoever's leaking information... She takes a puff of her cigar, then blows smoke. What goes around comes around. Has William come looking for me? Unfortunately so. He dogged me for when you'd be back last night on 3 separate occasions, so he probably intends to ambush you. I wouldn't be surprised if he's hiding in your room right now. Jesus. You'd think he'd know it well by now, considering how often he sees it. I snort. He does always find me one way or another. I take it you found somewhere else to stay last night, considering you never returned. Something like that, yeah. I can keep him away from you as long as I can, but he's eventually going to find you. I know that. Tell him the truth. Just not the useful truth. hope I'm not causing too much trouble for you, Ma'am. Oh, please. I've seen trouble before. This is a Sunday, my dear. You should get going, though, shouldn't you? All right. Thanks. Don't thank me. Think about how you're going to pacify the cop. Okay. Until next time, Samuel. So she expects me to fix this. Great. I make my way out of the building as quickly as I can without running or attracting attention. Seems like everybody's too busy to notice me still, so I make it out pretty easy. I know she'd be grateful that she's buying me time, but I need wits, not time. What bothers me most, I actually need my room. I need to freshen up. My herbs and cologne are up there. Damn it, William. I walk back inside and make a beeline to the kitchen. There's a bar of soap there. I break off what I need and head back out to the back alley again. The shirt goes off first and I lather up my bare paw with the soap and hose water. My face, my chest and my pits are clean first, and I splash my back. I'm keeping an eye on the door and the windows, knowing what I'm going to have to do next. I decide to keep my pants on while I lather my paw again, sticking it down as I grab my cock and balls, rolling the suds over them, then into the spaces in between my thighs. My eyes look left and right as the hose splashes down my drawers. I'm not a weirdo. I'm definitely not a weirdo. It's hot enough my pants will dry off if I'm moving around. See, this is perfectly fine. Easy. What I have to do now is find out where the Stag is located so I can get to it on time for killing a few more hours. It takes me so long to find it, it's already about time to meet Nick and Yao. It's night time faster than I would have liked. It surprises me how far this place is from Main Street. You think the whole point of a gathering space is to be accessible. This may as well be private property leading into the woods. There's a long winding path that leads to what looks like the exterior of a barn. I think this is the wrong place, if not for the 2 dozen or so folks with drinks chatting loudly outside between bales of hay. The twanging instrumental music invites me through the barn double doors and see a room full of men packed elbow to elbow. It's not hard at all to find Nikolai, since he's the tallest person in the room. My eyes meet with his and he lumbers over to me through the noisy crowd. He pulls me into a big hug, slapping me on the back and laughing.
You're here.
Of course I'm here, you asked me to be.
Oh, I just never thought you would. Well, I don't know if I should be happy they were here, but my heart keeps filling up.
What is that supposed to mean?
Well, I'm overthinking is all. Let me order you a beer.
No, I should order my own. Besides, do you think they got whiskey?
Do they have whiskey? They make their own.
Is that so?
Or maybe not imported drinks like the hip, but it puts a fire in the belly.
Let me go buy a glass.
No, I'll buy the drink.
But
I insist. Head up to the loft.
Up? He points behind me to a ladder near the bar. Near the top I see Yao looking at us before he turns away and disappears behind the platform. Oh, come on, you're going to leave me alone with him? But the badger is already at the side of the end of the bar, hiding the red squirrel acting as a barkeep. I sigh and make my way over to the ladder. It's strong and sturdy and doesn't creak beneath my weight, so I can ascend at a comfortable pace. There's a few more seats and crates up here, acting as tables. I look straight, trying to find the tiger amongst another crowd. Then I feel a big hand on my shoulder. Over here. Fuck! He's standing at my side and now he's snickering. A bit jumpy for a fellow your size. Oh, shut the hell up. Perhaps I'm just not used to climbing as much as you. That is surprising to hear. You are naturally flexible. Climbing is in your nature. No, I suppose that's technically true. He looks confused again, which makes me smirk, then he shrugs it off. He clears his throat. A few of our associates are seated in the corner. He brings me to a table full of men already involved in a lively conversation. 2 of them are huge and dominate the conversation. The Wolverine in blue overalls and crimson shirt packs a lot of muscle on his forearms. The black bear wearing a button coat and a soldier's cap is wider and taller than even Nick. If you asked me which one would win in a fight, I couldn't tell you.
I told you, the canary's down and the son of a bitch wanted to stay.
Jesus. So I'll let him stay.
He could have died.
Well, a lot more men will be in danger if he ever leads a crew.
I can't see that happening. He ain't nobody important.
Maybe not now, he ain't. But I tell you, these young bootlickers rise faster in the ranks than weeds in pig shit. You'd find yourself in a situation when the bird passes out. He says you can't leave.
Nonsense.
Nonsense yourself.
He ain't evil. He's just an asshole.
Same difference.
So then what does that make you then?
A rascal.
They both start laughing and the tension melts like butter on a hot skillet.
Boys.
The two look at the rabbit's gaze and follow it to me and Yao.
Thank you, Philippe.
The jackrabbit nods, closes his eyes and crosses his arms.
This is an associate of Nikolai's. He's joining my crew tomorrow.
The bear hollers and the jackrabbit whistles. The wolverine gives me a golf clap. Oh, welcome!
Congratulations. Nick mentioned the possibility that some of you could know him already.
Nope.
Nada. I can't say I have either.
Awkward but unsurprising.
I have.
I heard that voice before.
But where?
I can't place it. The head of a black-furred weasel pokes its head out from space behind the bear. You?
You know Chang?
Only very recently.
Within days, as a matter of fact. Like I said when I met you, Mr. Ayres, there aren't a lot of mountain lions with white fur in this town. I've learned a lot about you since then.
Shit. Listen. Can we speak alone? He makes eye contact with his associates and nods.
Very well.
I won't be long, Yao.
You're a free man.
I rub my temples as we walk to a less occupied portion of the loft and keep my voice low. Listen. Whatever it is you're going to say, could you please not?
You're a prostitute, are you not? One who serves men. I can tell now by the expression on your face that this is true.
Is this the guy who ratted me out to Mr. Hendricks? Dora said it could be a minor. But just because he knows about me doesn't mean he knows about Nick. Still, that makes him most suspicious. What do you want?
Likely the same as you. To be left in peace. Please don't take this personally.
Can't get much more personal than blackmail.
I wasn't in my right mind when I first met you.
He says that, but he's just as chatty as the time he was doped up on opium.
And I let you leave with information about me. So I needed to find some information about you.
That's so? My fists are balled so tight my claws could puncture my own skin if I'm not careful.
We both do things that we're ashamed of. But I'm used to living with shame. And these are good men. All I ask is you do not reveal me, and I will do the same in kind. Do you find these terms agreeable?
You're not putting your best foot forward, but it's something.
Like I said, this isn't personal.
Fine.
Shall we join the others then?
I guess. I stretch my back and roll my head to get the tension out of my neck. It feels like I keep hopping into one mess after another. The table didn't seem to miss as much, as they seemed to be lost in another work story. But yeah, I was sitting alone in another crate farther away, overlooking the dancers, closer to the edge of the loft. He beckons us over.
You two had a mysterious exchange. Now I feel like the odd one out.
Why's that?
I've known Nick and Chang the longest here. Yet somehow I'm the last to know you.
Chang tisks.
You can't be first at everything, friend.
He flashes his mangled hand. The tiger tries to smile, but can't quite keep it up. I should find out more about this weasel. He keeps showing up in surprising places I feel he shouldn't be. Mink, did he say it was? Sable. I never got to thank you properly for letting me hide.
letting me catch my breath. You seemed like you needed somewhere to rest, and I needed somebody to talk to. That's all it was. I thought it was the right thing to do, and I'm happy it turned out well for both of us. So, how did you and Yao come to know one another? I took my seat in an empty wooden folding chair next to his crate. Haven't you figured it out yet? I used to be on his crew before my accident. I guess that would make some sense. We keep in touch through our translation work. But aren't the two of you both from the same country? Yes. So isn't it redundant for the both of you to translate? They both look at one another. We're from different provinces, so our dialects are different. What's a province? It's somewhere like one of your states, but larger. Since we speak different dialects, we serve different communities. But there's an art to communicating clearly, so we like to compare tactics. Yao rejects regional variants when he speaks the traditional language of this country. You mean the grammatical mistakes? Contractions, for instance, may be begun as grammatical mistakes, but they let you say the same thing as quicker and roll off the tongue naturally. I feel that they are too casual and too flippant. Can't agree, friend. But I consider regional differences and abbreviations to be part of natural language too. So you're saying that you're so good at my language that you learned how to be as bad at it as I am? Not exactly. But that is what you're saying. Chang sighs. And yet it's still difficult for me to use new words naturally when they become commonly adopted.
Well. You all look cozy.
He slams down a cup of dark whiskey in front of me. Wait. Did you climb up the ladder with that?
Oh, you've never climbed a ladder one-handed before? Well, I'm disappointed, Sam.
It just sounds dangerous is all.
Oh no, not at all. All you have to do is lift with one leg while you grab with one hand. And you just switch your legs. Very easy, really.
You all know so much. I'm starting to feel intimidated. David is silent while I take a sip of my whiskey. It's warm and stings my tongue in that pleasant way that a strong drink does. Chang doesn't make eye contact. Yao is pursing his lips. This is cruel.
Oh, quiet, Yao.
He did not see the dumb waiter. I manage to swallow as I feel my eyes go wide. My glass goes down. Wow. Nick is the first to crack up, then the Sable. Lift one leg, my foot. He'll be lifting one leg to cover the soreness after my foot rams between his massive ass cheeks. Great, all three of them are laughing at me now. Fuck the rest of you all too. It takes them a long while to calm down. But they get there eventually. Are you a part of this labour union that Yao keeps bringing up, Chang? Considering I cannot work traditionally anymore, no. But most men at the Stag are. I assist them often. They pay fairly.
There are more than a few moonlighters here of the music and the alcohol.
The insides of his ears went red.
And the companionship, I suppose.
The music changes. I look down below and see two lines of men parallel to one another. What are they doing?
Well, they're dancing.
So they are. With one another. Intimately. They dip their partners low after one of the step phases ends. And their faces are real close. Well, I never expected to see something like this in Echo. Peyton has a place they call the Stag too. I haven't seen any of these places in the southeast where I'm from. But this is the frontier, yes? You have notoriously few women in this part of your country. But there's the hip. Plenty of women there. For the rich. For the Westerners. I give Nick a look, asking him to back me up, but he just scratches the back of his head as if he wants to stay out of this.
The Stag holds dances where men take the roles of the women while we dance. And there's a certain reputation that comes with that. What with stag meaning a male deer and rutting season, Who will not associate with the lady, dears?
He used to be so embarrassed by the reputation that he was afraid to come.
The tiger shakes his head.
Acting that way with the joke in the name was ridiculous.
Nick is getting redder by the second. I wish I could call this payback, but he's doing it to himself.
This doesn't count.
Doesn't mean I'm not going to sit here just enjoying my whiskey. I don't mean to change the subject again, but I'm curious about something else.
Yes?
Yeah, who's in charge of the labour union?
What?
Run that by us again. If I had to guess, I'd peg her as the big bear with the gut who's taller than Nick.
He seems like a natural leader, right?
Or maybe it's the Wolverine with the big arm muscles.
He looks like somebody I wouldn't want to mess with.
Sam. Yeah, I'll cut him off.
Please don't take this the wrong way, but you're thinking like a capitalist.
But we are capitalists? The entire point is that nobody is in charge. Any one of us could represent our interests.
You all don't have paperwork or shared records.
It turns out paper is traceable. I heard there was a prior attempt at that kind of organisation, but it didn't go so well.
And how'd you all organise?
Simple. Dimitri.
The bear, who was still in a long conversation with the jackrabbit and the Wolverine, looks over his shoulder.
Well, I did not mention our associate was interviewed by Briggs and Hendricks today.
Both of them? He turns around completely now.
Why? Two things, to my knowledge.
They are packing the workforce with men who promise not to unionize through fear and intimidation.
Well, good luck to them with that. And they've openly identified me as a union member who can be intimidated.
I see.
I admit, I do not understand what put me in this position. I have only ever openly advocated for safer conditions. Safer men means lower turnover and skill training, which means higher profit for the bosses.
I see. Your way's always been sticking your nose to the grind, hasn't it?
I know you're not much of a fighter, Nick, but that's where the rest of us come in. We'll spread the word. Oh, thank you. Just do what you've been doing.
My eyes are still on the dancers, dipping and twirling. You look like you want to join them.
Oh God, no. I never was one for crowds or dancing.
Do you know how?
I'm from the south, of course I know how.
Well, I'm crippled. What's your excuse?
I'm emotionally crippled, thank you very much.
Whatever you say. A small crowd of men enter through the doorway. The bear, the jackrabbit, and the Wolverine notice them too.
Oh, God damn it, not tonight.
They may not notice us. A floppy-eared dog with white and rusted spots wearing overalls points to us from the crowd.
You're saying?
The dog and one of his friends make their way up the ladder as the rest of the group disperses into the crowd in the bar. He meets us with a swagger and a bounce in his step.
Yeah, what's the matter, old man? Pouring one out of your weary bones?
That's more if the patient's in me, slowly dying.
Say it with me, £20 of silver. We got a 10% split between a lot of us, and not a lick for you.
I'll cover the cost of your tombstone, alright.
Why can't you admit I was right and you were wrong?
Because you could have died.
But we didn't, and we're richer for it.
The Wolverine stood up and punched the dog in the face. The dog spun an entire 360 degrees, for he fell over and crashed into a barrel, screaming as he went down.
Let's hear you some of that silver for caps.
I'd expect the music to stop if this were the hip. But they'd just keep on playing. Either they didn't see the punch or they just don't care.
I think it's time to go.
No kidding. The sabre is packing his things as well. Some other time, gentlemen. But I still want to see what happens.
Well, not worth being trapped upstairs if this turned into a bigger scuffle.
A group of men already crowd in the bottom of the ladder.
Hey, let us get down or I'll come down anyway.
They scatter. Nick lets Chang climb down first, but he descends surprisingly fast. I can still hear the men shouting behind us.
I'll find you for this, you bag of shit. Worth every penny, pretty boy.
As I land and turn, I already see Chang and Yao heading for the door. I feel the floorboard shake as Nick hits the ground behind me. We're all outside before we know it. Yao hisses at us.
Walk, don't run.
Not until we get to the road. By the time the barn is a distant image in the background, we're all hollering.
That was ridiculous. There are fights like that happening there all the time. Well, frequently enough, but they don't tend to escalate so fast.
Nick, you got us out of there real quick.
Oh, I know how to make an exit.
The size of your ass saved us.
Now, hold on.
Tonight I am most grateful for it. Chang rolls his eyes. This is where our paths part tonight. I wish you all a less eventful evening. Yao and Nick wish him a good night as he splits off into another direction, blending into the dark fairly quickly. But I'm just glad he's gone. I don't want him to know more about me than he already does. Not until I know more myself. Twitchy fella.
Well, it is impolite to say that about the weasel folk, Sam.
More like he's off in a hurry is all I mean.
Which, more importantly, means just the three of us are alone again.
So we are. He jerks his head toward me. I have decided to share what I know with him.
Well, I knew you would, with some time.
He is dumb as rocks, but he has shown me his grit.
Excuse you.
You will have to learn a lot in the short amount of time if we want to be clean. What we need is back at the bunks inside of my locker.
Won't it be a bit late to do anything by then?
Night is the best time we have to accomplish anything.
It'll be suspicious if we all miss every lunch break.
Exactly. The walk from the Stag to the bunks takes at least 30 minutes. I'm chilly and feel a little chafed by the time we reach it. Once we're inside, do not bring your voice above a whisper. I believe that most of the men in the bunks will not be able to understand us, but we should not take any unnecessary risks. Nobody can know what we are doing. Even the paths that may seem banal. Once we step inside, Yao fishes a key out of his pocket and slides into a numbered lock in the entryway. He slides out what looks to be a packet of waxy paper. Then he beckons me into the room full of bunks where that stale, acrid scent hits me again. I see a few shapes tossing and turning on their bunks. One of them is lying on their back, doing something. It turns out what Nikolai told me was true about someone not caring about no privacy. Something I haven't seen before, but it still makes me wince. Mostly since they won't be cleaning themselves up immediately after. Nikolai is waiting on his bunk with a lit candle on a holder. He's taken him half the bed, but me and Yao manage to squeeze in together. Then he shuts us in using a thick curtain. The tiger tilts his head to whisper into my ear. What you see is everything I have learned about the mines. I have managed to trace over official layouts without anybody noticing. But I have also added my own layouts to this, the ones that I know they don't know about. This is the main entrance to Site C, where I took you during the first day. It annexes the hexagonal room here. Then you can follow to the tunnel where Jack was... He clears his throat. Found when you follow the shaft down vertically. This places you on the second floor.
I see.
There's a series of tunnels that connect you back to the elevator, which can reach any level of the mine using a winch mechanism, which can lead back to the surface. But the opposite direction leads outdoors from the second level, where the opening is concealed by a boulder. I imagine you have used this entrance before.
Intimately.
Then did you notice this? His digit glides away from the exit and follows the tunnels inside. Till he takes a sudden turn north. The hidden tunnel within the hidden tunnel. His digit circles around the area, making a spiral pattern. That's where the real gold is. Inside of the natural maze. And here is the proof. He places something the size of a peanut on the page. Mostly looks like a charcoal-coloured rock. Embedded in the centre is a thick chunk of shining metal. Yao presses into it and the glittering metal bends like putty. You'll spend the next 2 hours remembering the natural maze and both of the exits in and out of the mine. 2 hours? There's no way I'm going to learn to remember this in 2 hours. Nor do I expect you to. You'll study this map every night this week for at least 2 hours until our job is finished. That is just the first of your tasks.
What's the point of making me do that?
Because you'll not always have this map. And knowing it will make your job much easier.
Before you ask him to do any of that, he should see level 3.
That would be wise. Here it is.
Oh, thank you, Yao. Sam, this is where you and I will be working for the next week. It is the lowest charted section of Site C, so it's the least understood, which makes it the most dangerous. Wait.
Hasn't this mine been open since the 1800s? Shouldn't the mine be deeper than 3 levels?
I suppose I never thought of that. Although we were told Site C was the newest addition to the mines.
But we also know that the bosses lie. It may be true that Site C is the newest addition, but we still do not know how old it is. And we know there are delays on level 3. More than there should be. You're more clever than I thought, Mr. Ayres.
Oh, thanks,
I think. Don't thank me until this map is memorized. Begin. To be continued. And that goes a long way to explaining how Sam knew his way around the mines at the end of Echo in Leo's route. He says Nick tells us all, so that makes sense. We learn the map and Nick shows Sam around. And 100 years later, it proves very useful. Nice work on that, Howley, planning that. And also, all the writers actually on this are doing a good job. I love the way things are linking together like that between 1915 and 2015. But the next Smoke Room update is going to be a Williams route, which I'm assuming is next month. And we'll be doing it when it comes out publicly. So the next video is going to be Tyson's Day on Password. I did a vote with my patrons to vote whether we did Smoke Room or Password first, since I both had them out at the same time. I didn't know what to do. Another reason to drop a couple of dollars there. You can join in if that happens again. So it'll be Tyson next week. Actually, that will be on a Friday, since it's Heritage Day. I have a day off. And then we'll round off February with another visit to the Tennis Ace series and more Shuichi going on there. So that takes us to the end of February, and I have no idea what's going on in March yet. I never know what's going on that very far in the future. But until Password next week, thanks for watching. Bye for now.